And welcome to this video tutorial for AppLab, and in this first video tutorial we're going to look at just setting up a basic home screen and creating your user interface for your app. So before we go any further, we need to just explore what our interface looks like. It's a relatively straightforward interface. So obviously on the left here you can see that you've got a mock-up of what your current screen looks like, the screen that you're working on, and a run button that we can use to preview what's happening on that screen. And this little drop down menu shows all the different screens that you've actually added to your app. Obviously we've just started, so we've only got screen 1. This middle section here is called the Toolbox, and that's depending on which mode you're working in. I'll explain what that means in a minute. You'll either see code blocks that you can drag on to start programming, or user interface elements that you can drag onto here to set up your screen. So what I can actually do at the moment, I'm in code mode, and what I can do is I can go into design mode, and you can see there's a change there. The screen's still on the left, but now I've got these items here, which are the things I can drag and drop onto my screen, and I've got the workspace now showing what we call the properties. So the properties is the information about whatever we are working on at the time. So at the moment these are the properties of the screen, and if I was to, for instance, to drag a button onto here, the properties options would show the properties of the button. It's also just worth, if you go back to code mode for a minute, you can also click here to go show text, and that would show what any code you had written looked like as written text code. But at the moment we've not added anything, so we're going to go back to show blocks. And the only other tab I haven't shown you is this data tab on the end. I wouldn't worry too much about that one because we're not going to be using that tab in this project. So let's have a go at making a little user interface just to show you how it works. So I'm going to click back to design, and what I need to do to start with, I need to make sure that I've kind of set up the home screen, the start screen or the splash screen of my app. So you'll notice immediately the properties of this are that it gives me an ID, a background color, and an image if I want to use it. Now whatever you're working on, you must create an ID for it. Every single element that you add to your app must have an ID, because that will make it much easier for you when you're programming, and it's what will help the program know which element it's working with and what each one's called. So I'm going to call this one home screen, and that appears at the top. You can now see that my main screen is called home screen, and I need to set a color because I don't really want a white color, so I'm just going to go for, use these sliders, and I'm going to go for black. Okay, so I'm going to go for black, and now you can see it's changed the color. Now this number, by the way, shows you what the current color looks like as what we call a hex code. So if you want to use this color on other screens, you can copy it to your clipboard and paste it in, and it will match the color up. So there's my screen changed. I actually need to add some stuff to it. So my next UI element I'm going to use is a label. So I'm going to I'll drag the label onto the home screen, leave it at the top there, and you can see the properties box now reflects the fact that I'm working with a label. So again, I'm going to call, where it says label 1, I'm going to go app title. I'm going to call it, that's the name of my drum machine app, and you can see that the text is reflecting that. I'm going to move it into the middle. Change the size of the font because that's far too small at the moment, and I'm going to need to change the color as well because it's not a good color combination, that color on top of black. So I'm going to go for a nice kind of subtle pink purple color, a pink color there. I like that, that's better. So you can see how easy it is just to change what your elements look like and to move them around the screen when you're in design mode. It's really straightforward. So the next thing I want on there is an image. So again, I go back to image, I can drag the image icon onto the home screen, leave it there, and now the properties box shows the image. So I can choose an image, and I can use either built-in icons, or I can upload an image of my own. Now I want to upload my own, so I'm going to go upload file, and I've got an image I got earlier, this cat DJ, which I've now uploaded to AppLab, and I can use that whenever I want. So I can choose, and now he's on my home screen, and I can move him to there. I might put another little label under here. Just in case there's any doubt, I'm just going to say the ultimate drum machine. I need that to be visible as well, so I'm going to make that, whoops, I'm going to make that white. So I can drag that just up to there. Move that across there. So now I've got my label on there as well. I need to label it app label, and it might look time consuming and a bit annoying to have to do every single ID tag, but it is really important that you do. And now the last thing I'm going to add on to this page is a button, because I want to be able to launch the app. So I'm going to drag a button onto there. I'm not going to change anything on the button like the colour, but I am going to change the text. So the text is going to say click here to start. It's not quite fitted on, so I can adjust the size of my button really easily. So hopefully, if you've planned your app in advance, you should know really what your screens are going to look like, and this should be quite easy to do. So there's that, and then I need to call it start button. Okay, and then that's done. I'm not going to worry about programming that button for the moment, but there is my main app home screen. So it doesn't do anything at the moment, but what I now need to do is add the other elements to my home screen, my other home screens even. So I go up to here, and I can put a new screen in. So I'm going to go new screen, and then I can start all over again. What I could do is I could duplicate the screen I made earlier, or I could just start a different one. So I'm just going to set it again to black. I want the colour of the app to be, let's change that to 0 because that's what I want. Oops. Change that to black. There we go. And then I would start to put my drum machine elements on. So I might, for instance, have a button here. It's going to be snare. So let's call that one snare drum, and then that's ready to go. So you can see basically that's all there is to it. I haven't shown you all these options. You might want to experiment with some of these yourselves. You can always change them later, and any element you don't want or that doesn't work out, you can just drag it to the middle like that to delete it. So your first job really today is to just go ahead and build the user interface. So you're going to need at least 2 screens. Try and think about the layout, make it easy for the user to follow and intuitive for them to use, and have fun.